Imagine you just got back from a big trip. Someone asks you, "How was it?" And you just say, "Amazing." Then they ask, "Well, what did you do?" And suddenly, you're doing that thing where you scroll through your camera roll like it's going to start reminding you of what actually happened. There's a pretty street, there's a famous church, the views and the sights that everyone said you had to see, the dinner you took a picture of before anyone touched it. But if you're honest, half of it is already starting to blur, if not more. Was that cathedral in City 2, City 3? What was that name of that neighborhood again? What did you actually feel when you were standing there? You have proof you were there, but the memory itself is weirdly thin and getting thinner by the day. Now compare that to the one thing you might have actually done during this trip. The cooking class where the pasta dough kept falling apart. Or maybe the surf lesson where you got absolutely humbled by a wave. The tennis coach who fixed your serve with one sentence. The moment you ordered coffee in a different language and the person actually understood you. Those memories don't feel thin. You remember the room, the smell, the person teaching you, the embarrassment, the tiny win, the exact feeling of thinking, wait, I'm actually getting this. Same trip, same mind. So why does one memory disappear while the other stays with you for years? That's not random. Your brain is making a decision about what's worth keeping. And once you understand the rule it's using, you start to realize something kind of uncomfortable. Most trips are accidentally designed to be forgotten. Let's talk about why. The thing we get wrong about travel. Here's the quiet assumption almost everyone makes. We think the value of travel is in seeing the landmark, seeing the view, seeing the famous square at golden hour. We see a trip like a checklist, and we measure it by how many of those boxes we're able to check off. We saw this, we photographed that, on to the next. And there's nothing wrong with seeing beautiful things. But somewhere along the way, seeing became the whole point. So we start collecting things like stamps and photos to show proof that we were there, or to have proof that we were there. And a year later, it's all blurred into a single smear of that trip we took that one time. Yes, you have the photos, but you can't actually feel any of it anymore. And here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of that. Your brain is not impressed by famous things. It doesn't care that the cathedral was 500 years old. Fame is a human idea. Your memory system doesn't run on it. It runs on something else entirely. Passive look at things, photograph and move on type of travel. It gives your brain almost none of what it needs to hold on to a moment. To see why, look at what your brain is actually doing in those first few days somewhere new. Because it's doing something. And it's on a timer that most people are unaware of. The novelty high and why it runs out. When you land somewhere genuinely new, your brain wakes up in a way it almost never does at home. There's a part of your brain whose whole job is to notice the unfamiliar. New streets, new smells, signs you can't read. When it fires, it releases dopamine. And dopamine here isn't just a feel-good chemical. It works sort of like a highlighter. It marks the moment as new. It tells the brain, pay attention, this might actually matter. That's why day one in a foreign city feels so alive. Your senses are turned all the way up. That feeling of being awake again, that's what people are actually chasing when they say they need to travel. The problem is that this has a very short shelf life. By day 3, the new street isn't new. By day 4, the next cathedral barely registers. The novelty detector quiets down, and the highlighter runs low. And your brain slips back into the same autopilot you live in at home, where Tuesday and Wednesday blur together because nothing asked your brain to actually wake up. So if novelty is the only thing making a trip memorable, you've got a problem. Because novelty empties in about 48 hours. And most trips are longer than that. So what doesn't fade? What makes your brain keep a moment permanently long after the novelty is gone? That's where it stops being about what you see and starts being about what you do. Why doing something changes everything. When you see a beautiful place, your brain records something thin. An image, maybe a temporary feeling, one layer. But when you do something, when you try to roll pasta and it falls apart, when you swing and miss 100 times before you actually connect with the ball the way you want, when you eat sand paddling for a wave and you get up and try again, your brain records an entire event with your whole body in it. Your hands, your balance, the frustration that comes with it, the effort, then that flash of, wait, I'm actually getting this. A person teaching you. The place all around you while this happens. When your brain stores a memory, it ties it to everything else happening in that moment. Every sense, every emotion. The more threads a moment has, the more places your brain can grab it from later. The photo of a landmark has one thread. Learning to cook a dish in a stranger's kitchen has a dozen. The taste, the heat, the embarrassment, the laughs, the face of the person who showed you. More threads equals stronger memory. And here's the part that's beautiful. And it's why this works for travel specifically. Those threads get tied to that specific place. So the location isn't a backdrop anymore. It's woven into the skill. That town becomes the place you learn to do a thing you couldn't do before. You think of the skill and the place comes with it. And that's why you can still feel surf lesson in your body years later, but you can't remember last spring's museum. One was a picture you glanced at, the other happened to you, changed you a little. And that word, changed, is the last piece. Because your brain protects one kind of memory more fiercely than almost any other. The memories your brain won't delete. The deepest memories are tied to who you became. There's a reason people come home and say, with total sincerity, that trip changed me. When you learn something new in a new place, you quietly update the story you tell about yourself. I'm someone who surfs now. I cooked that. I did that thing even though I was nervous to try it. Your brain guards identity level memories differently because they're not just information anymore. They're part of who you are. And that's the difference between a vacation and a trip you carry for life. A vacation is something you did. Transformation is something you became. And there's one multiplier almost nobody plans for: other people. We remember shared experiences far more vividly than ones we had alone in a crowd. When you struggle through learning something with other people, all of you falling off the board and then laughing about it, the whole thing gets wrapped in emotion. And emotion is the strongest memory glue there is. To stack it up, novelty to wake up the brain, a skill that pulls in your hands and your effort, a small transformation in who you are, and other people to share it with. That's not a trip your brain forgets. That's when it files in a permanent storage and hands back to you for the rest of your life. So how do you build a trip that has all of that in it? On purpose. The trip your brain was built to keep. The takeaway is almost annoyingly simple. Don't just go somewhere, do something there. Next trip, build it around one thing you'll learn. A skill, a craft, a sport. Something that uses your hands or your body. Something a little bit hard or challenging. Ideally done with other people. And that combination, new place, real skill, a little bit of struggle, shared with others, is the exact recipe your memory was built to keep. You'll see beautiful things, of course. You'll still take the photos, but you'll come home with something underneath them all. Much different than when you left. Now, years later, when everyone else's slideshow fades into that one trip we took that one time, yours will still be vivid because your brain decided it was still worth protecting. Most travel is designed to be seen. The trips you actually keep are the ones where you became someone. And honestly, that's the whole reason we do what we do at Nomara. We build trips around exactly this idea. Small groups, a beautiful place, a real skill, tennis, surf, cooking, photography, yoga. And this is with a handful of people who walk in as strangers but leave as friends. Because you went through something together instead of just standing next to each other. Now, of course, the destination matters, but the point is who you become while you're there. Like I mentioned, we call this Nomara, and it's the kind of travel that's been quietly calling you. Now, if you're interested in learning more, the link's in the description. But even if it's not with us, I'd tell you the same thing. Stop planning trips around what you'll see. Plan ones around what you'll learn. Your future self will thank you for it. If this resonated, please subscribe. I think a lot about cultural trends in travel, psychology, and how it really all ties together. So looking forward to making a lot of videos like these in the future. And with that being said, I will see you in the next one.